Hello and welcome to episode 41 of Dial H for Heroclix. I'm your host Hunter Smith, and today I am lonely. I am without my two compadres who are usually here. This is a different schedule for us this week. Neither one of the boys could make it today, so I'm actually recording a little bit earlier than what we usually record because I'm going to be doing it by myself, but I will also have a special guest with me on the second half of the episode. Which is something. It's been a long time since we've had a guest, so it's nice to have a guest come in. And this also reminds me to go ahead and do a little announcement that in the future I want to try out a sort of listener guest idea where especially for days like this week where we'll just have me or just me and one of the other crew, we would bring in one of you guys who would want to join us and get the fans involved, get one of you guys to come in with us, do a little interview, kind of see somebody else's perspective, Heroclix perspective and comics perspective as well, hear other people's thoughts and ideas, and have you kind of go through the cast with us, and do that from time to time. Not every week, but from time to time I want to do some listener guests like that. So we will be doing that today, except TJ, which is our guest today, he lives pretty close by, so he's actually going to come by for his and do it in person. But if that's something you are interested in, then send us a PM on Facebook or shout out on Twitter or something. Let us know you would be interested in that. And then in the future when we do that, I'll make an announcement ahead of time so that we can match up times and we can get some of you guys who would want to do that, get on to be on the cast. We can get that arranged. Today is sort of a weird episode in that it's going to be a little out of order than what you guys are used to, and that's because of our guest and him not being able to be here the whole time because of work schedule. So what I want to do today, instead of usually starting with news like we usually do, I'm actually going to start with what we do last, and I'm going to start with community. First off, we have an email on our Gmail account from Ethan Jacobs, and Ethan asked two good questions. As you guys know, last week we talked about the Green Lantern power battery, and he sends us his first email asking, I got to thinking, after listening to episode 40, what will happen to the power battery if one of the slosh chases takes the power ring away? Will that ruin the power battery since you need the ring attached? Well, that's a good question, and honestly, it's something that I had thought of ahead of time when I first saw the resource, but I meant to bring up on the podcast, but I honestly forgot about it while we were talking about the resource. I thought about it while we were doing the cast, and then I was like, I'll wait and say that at the end, and then I just totally forgot about it at the end. So yeah, the slosh chases, as you guys know, can remove an element that is attached to a relic or resource, and as you see by the wording on the power battery, if you pull it up, the ring is attached to the resource. So you can, in fact, take the ring off. And honestly, if I'm playing a Lydia Malor, which is probably the most likely of the chases you're going to see in a competitive environment, if I'm playing her, I'm going to take your ring away if you're running the power battery instead of one of the constructs. Unless it's a specific construct that really gives you a matchup advantage, particularly with my team, I think I'm most likely going to take the ring away because the ring is given to everybody who gets a construct, so it can be given to multiple people. And yeah, if you took that away from the Green Lantern power battery, then you're taking away the willpower that all those figures would be granted, which is a huge deal. Now, it's going to be a bigger deal depending on what ring they're running because, as you can guess, the rings are all going to be different, and we will see that today when we get to news and we talk about the Sinestro Corps ring. They're all going to play a little different, so it might depend on what color ring they're running, but for the most part, you're pretty much always going to want to take their ring away. And yes, they can still use the resource without the ring, it's just not as good. But there's nothing on the battery that says that it has to have a ring at first, because the only thing when it talks about the minimum of, it must be a minimum this many points and it must have the power ring attached at the beginning of the game, that's the key, is that at the beginning of the game during force construction you paid for all that stuff, and then at the beginning of the game it's all attached. And Lydia's thing is going to kick in afterwards. So it's totally legal for you to go ahead and play it after she takes away your ring. It doesn't ruin the entire resource, to my knowledge. And I'll keep an eye on the rules forums just to make sure something crazy doesn't happen and that gets ruled differently. But to my knowledge, you would still get to use the resource. It just is not going to be as good. He has a second question. When is the community going to see the Dial H crew compete in a rock? We actually did compete in a rock a long time ago. It wasn't a super queue because back then it was before rocks kind of exploded and got super popular. We just did a smaller one here locally, and I think it was a regular qualifier. It was the step below. If you guys are familiar with the ROC events, there's like 4 different sizes you can run. I think we were the step below super queue. And I went undefeated. Unfortunately, we only went 3 rounds. I wish it would have been more rounds than that, but I think we weren't expecting to have as many people as we did have show up. So there were 2 of us that were undefeated, and the other player had a few more points than me, so he finished in first, and I finished in second. Austin and Drew didn't do very well. I think they both went 1 and 2, which they usually do a little better than that in most of our week-to-week events, but they didn't have as much luck in the ROC. So we have competed in one. We have a couple friends who traveled down to Kentucky for the ROC down there. That's about a 3.5 hour drive, 3 hour drive from here. Personally, I'll speak for myself, not for the boys since they're not here. But I'm not interested enough in the ROCs to travel that far and participate in them. Not because I wouldn't love to, just because I have actually extremely busy schedule right now, and I just don't have the time to travel that far to do those kinds of events. And also, I'm not planning on competing at Dragon Con or any of the big ROCs, so I'm not really worried about getting my player points. I got a lot from getting second place in that event, but I'm not really worried about them because Dragon Con is pretty far away. Now, and that's with me saying that I'm more... as you guys can guess, since I guest host on the Quarry, the official ROC podcast, I'm more interested in competitive play and more into competitive play than even Austin and Drew. So if I'm saying that I'm not super interested in driving a really long distance to compete in these things, then Austin and Drew's, they're even less interested than I am. So yeah, that's your answer. You're probably not going to see it unless one's really close. I mean, if one was within an hour distance from here, I would pretty much definitely go if time, if schedule allowed, if I didn't have to work or anything. And I think Drew and Austin would definitely probably go with me if we did that. But so far, all the super queues have been pretty far away from us. The Kentucky one was the closest one, and like I said, that was a 3 hour drive. That's it for listener questions. I do want to talk about dial design. If you guys remember last week, we had Dr. Doom PhD got a perfect 30, which is only the second one we've ever given out. And this month is the Fast Forces, and everyone submitted their second dial. And Dr. Doom got a 29. So he got a 30 and then a 29, which is definitely unheard of, and puts him at a big advantage in the rankings for this month. So as long as he doesn't totally screw up week 3, he's probably going to take home the prize for April. But we had 2 other 29s. We had 3 29s total out of 30. And since we have done 2 of the 3 members as our featured dial for a week, I wanted to do Crazy Bat's dial because he has never been a featured dial for us to my knowledge. So I wanted to give him a chance in the spotlight, talk about his dial this week. His Fast Forces he's doing this month is Batman Incorporated. And he did the Squire. He did a great dial last week, and he turns in yet another good dial this week with the Squire. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Batman Incorporated, this is a really good storyline and really important, especially since Damian's death, just recently happened in Batman Inc. But Batman Inc.'s a pretty good book if you are a Batman fan. I'm sure you've already read them. I enjoyed them a lot. And the Squire is the one who is she's a female, and she's kind of like the sidekick for the Knight, who's another big character. And this dial does a good job of representing her and a somewhat promotion mechanic when the knight is KO'd. So the dial is 75 points, and it has the Batman team ability, 5 range, 1 bolt. Pretty accurate comic-wise. And it has a total of 7 clicks on its dial, but like a vampire, it starts a couple clicks in. And it has a trait that says that Squire starts the game on click 3 and cannot be healed beyond click 3 except by this trait. When a friendly character named the Knight is KO'd, turn Squire to click 1. So no matter what click Squire is on, even if she's on last click, if you have the Knight and he gets KO'd first, then the Squire promotes into the new Knight, which is exactly what happens in the comic. So he gets good grades there for comic accuracy and for creativity, basically doing a vampire style dial, but with a different theme behind it. And for the most part, her regular dial is charge, precision strike, perplex, which is very accurate. And then once she promotes, she gets flight, running shot, invulnerability, and willpower. So she gets kind of inspired and infuriated and ready to kick some major ass now that she becomes the Knight. So that got good grades from all three of us. Again, he did a good dial last week, so kudos to him. Good addition to our dial contest, and hopefully you'll keep submitting. And congratulations on being this week's featured dial. Now, this week's community question is related to the news, and hopefully it won't spoil anything a little bit ahead of time, but the question was, what are your thoughts on the battery pack announcement? Now, I'll get into this in more detail when we do the news section, but the battery pack announcement is basically this, if you haven't heard. WizKids has finally announced to us how we are going to be able to get all the different color batteries. Not the resource, because the resource comes with World of Light, as we know, but the actual lanterns, because I was correct last week when I theorized that these are switch clicks, that it looked like the lanterns would come off of the resource. They do come off the resource. So I was right about that. So they'll pop off, and then you can pop on the different color lanterns on the resource dial, and they'll each come with their own card that tells you the bonuses. And how they're doing this is they're packaging 2 lanterns together with 7 constructs for each color. And then that's one pack. So there's 6 other lanterns. We get the green with the OP kit. We get the white, supposedly with the con exclusive. That's the big rumor, is that the white will be a con exclusive. And then the black will also technically be a con exclusive because it comes with Necron, which is the Colossal you can purchase. So the other 6, the red, indigo, you know what they are. The other 6 are going to be packaged like that, and they're going to be separate. So there's 2 to a pack. You get both of the lanterns, and then you get 7 constructs for each, so 14 relics. So you're getting 14 relics and 2, I guess, resource add-ons, we would call them, for $25, which is not bad, I guess, if you're comparing it to the scenario packs, like what they did for Fear Itself and stuff like that. I guess that price is about where I thought it would be. They certainly could have went higher than that, and so for that I'm happy. But my question this week was, what are your thoughts on that as a whole? Are you excited that they're doing it like this? Were you bummed that they weren't some part of of World of Light? Personally, I think I'm actually glad to a point that this is how they're doing it, because honestly, and I am cynical, and that's the word I was trying to think of last week when I was trying to think of a certain word. I am a little cynical in my old age nowadays, especially when it comes to WizKids, but they've given us plenty of reason to feel that way. I thought they would honestly all be con exclusives except for the green and maybe like one of the special other ones, like the white or something. So, me thinking that they'd all be con exclusives, I would have had to pay more than a total of $75 for 6 of them. So, I guess I am kind of glad that they're doing it this way. It also gives people the chance to purchase the ones they're more interested in than the other ones. So, like, if you're only really interested in the Sinestro core, you would buy the yellow and blue pack that comes with those and all the constructs, and then you wouldn't have to buy all of them. So, I guess I'm kind of glad that they did it. Sorry about that. That's my pager and I'm on call. I'm kind of glad they packaged them that way so that people can get, specifically what they need. So I get that was a good move from them. So overall, I'm happy. You guys, feedback. You basically, we're all pretty much excited, optimistic about it. There were a couple people. The only really negative thing anybody had to say was, it's going to be a lot of money to collect them all, and hopefully they don't continue to make a habit of selling us resources, which I can certainly agree with and see. So I agree. Hopefully that won't be the case, that they start selling resources to us instead of giving them as participation prizes, but only time will tell. Last thing we have for community is YouTube channel. This past week I had the best build matches up on there, so if you guys have some downtime at work or home or something, you want to watch some matches, because like I always say, there's not enough good quality matches on YouTube as far as video quality, and might have been turning out pretty good. Pretty much all of them will go up to 1080p if you give it a minute to load and then upgrade the quality. So I have 3 matches up on our YouTube channel. This next week I'm going to try to put together a Winter Soldier rules explanation video. He's a figure that's really fun, but has a whole lot of rules questions with him. I've experienced as a judge and as a player here in the last couple weeks, and so I thought that would be a great figure to cover, especially with it being that being a really hot and really good and highly played set right now. At least at our venues, that set is being played like crazy. For good reason. That was a great set. Probably one of the better sets we've had in a long time, the Winter Soldier. So I'll be covering him, the Sniper Nest one specifically, next week. So look out for that next week on our YouTube channel, and subscribe to that if you haven't already. So now you may hear a slight pause. I'm going to pause, and then we'll come back with our special guest, do a little interview, and then we'll finish the rest of the podcast. All right, so I have with me TJ, who is on Realms too, right?
Yeah, Clixaholic.
Clixaholic Crawford, who's a listener and a friend, and also has participated in our dial design contest before. And we jokingly say that WizKid stole his pyro.
It's eerily similar.
It is what's it called?
The flame construct.
The flame constructs are almost identical. It's pretty close.
I think the power is the exact same. I think it's the numbers that are...
I was going to say, I think your powers were perfect, and that the numbers were literally like one integer off on like each freaking section. So yeah, it's pretty damn close.
Royalties will be nice.
Yeah. If you could get like a penny on every Days of Future Past click sold, that'd be nice. I'm going to ask you the same questions that we ask all our guests. It's been a while since we had a guest, but name a few, let's say five or so, of your favorite comic book characters. Doesn't have to necessarily be heroes, villains, just like your favorite characters.
Number one, which I get laughed at for all the time, is definitely Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. Would be my number 2. Then I'm a big Red Hood fan ever since actually reading Under the Red Hood and watching the animated film for it.
Which is very good, by the way.
And then I would honestly say Deathstroke and Black Adam. Those are probably my top 5.
I like it. A lot of DC. Top 3 favorite clicks. I know that's a hard one to ask. Which ones instantly pop in your head?
Superman, Black Adam. I don't get to use him that often because he's pretty pricey points-wise, but he's up there. Any of the Deathstrokes we've gotten in the past year and a half, I use constantly because I'm either playing an assassin team or a society team or something like that. And honestly, just because I get so much work out of him, Streets of Gotham Scarecrow.
He is a good piece, man.
I had forgotten how much work he does, and then I used him this past week. And
yeah, I liked him a lot too, and I don't think I've talked about him before on the podcast. I've talked about him before to the boys because I just loved him so much every time I play him, and also I won a side tournament at CBU forever ago. It was half Batman and half SOG.
Yeah,
and it was like 300 points or something. And I had Scarecrow and Maul together. And Scarecrow, Scarecrow can mastermind to anybody in the smoke cloud regardless, and Maul gets way better when you mastermind onto him. And it was so everybody was like, "You're playing Scarecrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, he looks pretty good." And they're like, "You're playing Maul? Maul sucks. Nobody plays him anymore." I'm like, "This is gonna be good," and it just blew everybody away. It was such a good team up. SOG Scarecrow is good.
Yeah,
he's 74 points. The big thing about him is he has fear, or he has stealth and mastermind full dial, and then he has a special free smoke cloud every turn. And there's no like only so many tokens, or if you have no token, no, it's just every turn you get a free action smoke cloud. And adjacent friendly characters occupying one of the smoke cloud are considered to have a lower point value when he uses mastermind. So that's what I was saying. You take a character like a Maul, or there's a lot of other great examples. Hulk, for instance, who starts off crappy and gets better at Black King.
The Streets of Gotham Killer
Croc, yeah, and because like Killer Croc, one click in, he gets a couple clicks in, he gets better. His attack value goes up, defense goes down, but yeah, he adds a lot of playability to Arkham Asylum, and when is traded, like just traded Smoke Cloud alone, pretty much is worth 74 points.
Yeah, he's an old school Batman piece at that point.
And then he has a special end cap, which I never hardly get to do because he only has 4 range, but it's still pretty good.
This past week, like every game, I was getting a lot of use out of it.
Yeah, good answer. Now, which Deathstroke do you like best? Because I've been thinking about this. And you may not like this. I hate the new 52 one. The one where you go past.
He is my least favorite.
Okay, I don't like his dial. I don't like the way he plays. It never kicks in.
It's super easy to avoid it because you knock him off it doesn't matter.
Exactly. It never seems like you get your bang for the buck out of it. I think the best one is Teen Titans. I'll pull up all the Deathstrokes. So we have Arkham Origins.
He's my favorite right now. I don't know if he's the best.
I've yet to play him. I've just looked at his dial.
His special attack power is good.
It's good, but he only has it for 2 clicks, and he only has 5 range, and he doesn't have stealth.
You can do it in melee, though.
I know. I'm just saying, like...
So that helps.
I played against him twice. Both times I easily knocked him past it before he hit me. That's with only 5 range. If he had like a 7 range or something, he'd be freaking retarded. I don't think he's bad.
I've only ever used him with Black Mask.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of helps with the...
Oh, yeah. See, in SOG... Deathstroke is pretty good. He's probably my second favorite.
He's good if you want a Deathstroke that's going to support your team a little bit because of those perplexes and outwits.
My favorite is still Teen Titans. I think for bang for the buck, for 150 points, this dude dishes out the damage. I've used him in Battle Royals, I've used him in Constructed, and I've used him in that little Injustice game I have. He's stinking retarded.
Yeah, his leadership he's got on those first 2 clicks is... stellar.
His values are really good. He's got 8 range, wild card, sharpshooter, 11 attack, Psyblast, 3 damage. You purposefully should click him onto a second click. He loses running shot, but he gets stealth, and his attack goes to 12, and his freaking damage goes to 4.
Yeah,
he's really good. So enough about splurging on Deathstroke. We already talked about your Realms Handle. Sorry guys, it's late here. I'm tired. And what is your favorite theme team to play?
Specific theme I don't really fit into, but I play Batman villains like as often as possible. And I mean, I try and do like, I was a huge fan of animated cartoon, obviously growing up, so
of course
I try and do themes that
it's only the best. It's only the best show ever made.
So I try and get teams that fit into that mold, even if they aren't theme teams. But a lot of that was also the fact that they didn't have a lot of matching keywords for the longest time when I started playing Clicks again. So now that we're getting a lot more guys who have Arkham Asylum,
I was going to say Arkham Origins,
Gotham City Underworld, it's a little easier. I'm playing a lot more teams that consist of 1 or 2 bad guys and some thugs now because of Arkham Origins than what I used to.
I also, Drew and I both actually usually play a lot of Batman villain stuff. And back when we first started playing at venues, like Batman was... We started playing right before Batman came out.
Yeah, it was
so I used a bunch of old stuff. I had like the old Two-Face and... Bane and Croc, stuff from like Batman Alpha set or Arkham Asylum, like that kind of stuff. And then Batman came out, and I was like, "Oh shit, we got a new Mr. Freeze!"
When I first started getting back into it, it was right when the New 52 stuff started coming out, and it was just me and Phil kind of casually playing, and then my brother's obviously into Clicks a lot, so he was getting us to play more. So I started borrowing a lot of his Arkham Asylum stuff to play bad guy teams. But, like, there was no matching keywords then because they didn't think to make Arkham Asylum a keyword in the set named Arkham Asylum. And then, so I was the same way. Once Batman actually hit, that set hit. Like, everybody else was No Man's Land. I was like, screw No Man's Land.
Yeah, and then the SOG gave us a bunch of really good ones. And then we got, Teen Titans had a couple. Yeah. And then Arkham Origins gave us just, like, the finishing little touch, It does make it a lot easier. All right, cool, good answers. So let's do what we played. Now, again, typically we record this on Saturday night, and we talk about Saturday's game too. This is Friday night, so we can't talk about Saturday this week. But Wednesday was at Game Preserve, and the build was 500 points. Popper, which for this was uncommons and commons, only from main sets and gravity feeds, which includes. So
Marvel DC
technically Marvel DC only, Silver Age. So technically, a lot of people use the term gravity feed to describe countertop displays and gravity feeds. But if you want to get technically, gravity feeds are like the number 201 to 210. Yeah, the primers. But for this, it was CTDs and
we use
gravity feeds.
Yeah, we use the term gravity feed or any for any single packaged.
Yeah, exactly. I do too, commonly, but so that was the rules. Nothing was allowed besides characters and relics. I went with a Legion of Superheroes team with guest starring Enchantress, and main reason I did is because Phil's been trying to get me to play Ultra Boy for a while, and I was like, I don't really have a team I specifically have to play for this event, so I'm going to try Ultra Boy. So I built a team around him for Phil, and then I tried to make it better, and I toyed with some ideas, and I was like, I can use the trait from the gravity feed guys and bring in a better figure to make this mediocre team really good. And I had Ultra Boy. Let me bring them all up here. I had main set Ultra Boy, Polar Boy, who I was previously 9-0 with. He's such a good figure. Polar Boy, Shrieking Violet. I brought the main set and the gravity feed version. Started out with the main set because she has stealth and outwit. And Gates, of course.
Because why not? He's incredible.
And then gravity feed Cosmic Boy, and then Enchantress. And if you're unfamiliar with the gravity feed, the first three, 0, 1, 2, and 3, they have the Welcome to the Legion trait. And we've seen this a little bit competitive-wise, too. It's been doing okay. One of the top teams used this with Enchantress, actually, now I think about it. It was either her or Scarlet Witch, but I think it was Enchantress.
Either or.
When you build your force, choose one character of 50 points or less. That character gains the Legion of Superheroes keyword and wing symbol this game. If your force includes other characters with this trait, you can increase it by 50 if this character doesn't use that as trait. So what that means is, if you play 2 of those that have that trait, you can put one character of 100 or less, on your team, and so on and so forth. There's 3 different ones. You can go up to 150 at the max. But honestly, when I was looking at him, Cosmic Boy was the best out of the 3. And that's because he not only brings that, but he brings other support powers. He has TK, he has Perplex and Leadership, including if he hits a 6, he can clear it off anybody with the keyword. And then he has a special power where he gives, if he's in hindering, he and adjacent friendly characters use toughness. So what I was doing was really abusing Gates at the start. Because Gates can carry up to 4 friendlies regardless of speed symbols. If all carried characters share a keyword with him, you don't modify his speed value. He has a 14 phasing. So he can get So I have 5 characters besides Gates, but Shrieking Violet is tiny, so she doesn't count. Yeah. So I carried the whole entire team in one action. And then I picked Realm of Death, faced the whole team into the middle, and then sat there, because unless they're running something that busts through blocking, I don't have to worry about it. Ultra Boy, like I said, built around him. Gates would bring the whole team up. I'd push Gates onto Perplex on purpose. What I would do is carry Shrieking Violet in on somebody, outwit somebody's defense, push Gates, perplex somebody's. She's already yes. Perplex somebody's defense down. Then take Polar Boy, sidestep over to a good spot, and then take his enhancement, the perplex from Gates, their defense down. Then I take Polar Boy's enhancement and Ultra Boy's perplex, and I would perplex Cosmic Boy or Ultra Boy up to a 11 attack, 6 damage with prob from Enchanters and the Cease through stealth and bust blocking. All three of my opponents did not realize that Ultra Boy shot through blocking. And I'll be honest, if I hadn't built a team around him, I wouldn't have known that Ultra Boy shot through blocking.
I didn't know he did.
Yeah. So all three of my opponents were like, what the hell is this guy doing putting his whole team in the middle of the map? He must be going to next turn phase them all in next to me. No. I phase them in the middle, let the people move up, and then I hit them for 6 penetrating. It worked 3 times in a row. I was expecting to run into Iron Man 001 in this format because when I was building teams, honestly, a shield team similar to what Austin played, basically exactly what Austin played, that was the best team I could come up with. Yeah. So I expected, I was like, there's going to be 4 or 5 Iron Mans, and there was a lot of that Iron Man.
We had what, 24 people?
Yeah.
And I think 8 of them were playing shield teams featuring that Iron Man.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I'm going to see a lot of him. This is basically that, but with a better team built around him, I think. Because also, remember, Enchantress has Mystics, and these are all wild cards. So I had 6 Mystics. And I would, like I said, I'd rush in Gates and Shrieking Violet and tie up, make them take Mystics. Meanwhile, Ultra Boy's hitting you for 6 penetrating one turn, 6 penetrating the next turn. It was honestly, I had no trouble with any of my matches except the first one against Jairus because he had Copperhead, and she has Poison, full dial pretty much, and she ignores characters. And I moved up, outwitted ignores characters because I knew that'd be a problem, and he hit Shrinking Violet off. He needed like a 9, and he actually hit it. Hit Shrinking Violet off of that, and then moved Copperhead in on Enchantress and slowly poisoned her. Like I knew that was going to happen, and that was a smart move by him. But I still won the game at the end. But that was my only close match. Other than that, like I said, nobody knew Ultra Boy shot through blocking, so he would always smoke their prime piece, regardless of what it was, including a 300-point Iron Man. Took down pretty easily. I got first. Austin went undefeated as well, but I had a few more points than him.
He played somebody who was very, very under on points.
Yeah, so now the Polar Boy count is now up to 12-0, guys. Polar Boy is a boss. He's 12-0 so far. Ultra Boy as a whole, I think he's worth his points for sealed. I had to build a team specifically around him to make him amazing. So I'd say he's about a 4 out of 5 star fig. I'll just say I'm pleasantly surprised with him because in Jairus' game he busted me pretty hard, but he hit me onto Flurry, and then I flurried his Tannerus, and then he hit me again and knocked me onto my last click, which has Hypersonic, and I just like TK'd out, Hypersonicked around wherever I needed to go. So he's good down dial. I was pretty happy with Ultra Boy. Shrieking Violet too. She's really cool. The 2 options, I would start with the main set just because of the stealth, the outwit, and the 19 defense. Because remember, even if they can shoot through hindering, they have to give you +1 for being tiny on range. So she's a 20 from range, and then outwit. So she's pretty good. And the good thing about her is you can, no matter which one you're on, you can punch somebody and choose to morph afterwards so that you don't take pushing damage. So she basically has willpower if you're willing to keep switching back and forth, and that's what I kept doing. And Gates was really good too. If you're going to run a big Legion, like this 500 points, if it's maybe 400 points, I'm going to say if it's 500 points or more, you have to play Gates, I think, just to save on tokens and actions. He's so good for his points.
Yeah, That's how I feel the back to Batman bad guy thing right now. Like, if you're playing 400 or more points with Gotham City Underworld or Arkham Asylum, you need to run that Black Mask because
yeah, at least definitely
makes the team go.
Definitely 500 or more, you have to run them. So, what did you play?
I played a Batman bad guy team. Arkham Asylum. I really wanted to try Joker from Arkham Origins because I'd yet to play him, and it's always weird to see commons that cost that much points-wise. So I built him, Streets of Gotham Scarecrow, Streets of Gotham Killer Croc to kind of have a little bit of a beater, assuming the opponent comes to me. Arkham Origins Deadshot, and then I ran a main set Goon from Batman on the support.
Hired Henchman?
Yeah, Hired Henchman on the support side.
I like Hired Henchman a lot.
To kind of fill my points out. And I mean, it worked. I mean, I lost to Nick round 1, but it would, complete bust on both of our ends on rolls. We were both rolling crazy on every end, so it's really hard to tell how the game could have gone. But I had him on tilt pretty well because he was playing that shooty shield team, and I had everybody in stealth nonstop, basically.
One thing I like about the team construction is you've got 2 wild cards with the Joker and with Deadshot, and you have 2 great team abilities, especially for Deadshot, with Batman Enemy and then Underworld to carry up. Because one of the problems you'll find, and one of the reasons why Black Mask is so important to these teams in big games, is because you have no flyers hardly.
Yeah.
And aside from Firefly. And you have very few carry, so the Underworld team ability really helps them make up for that. And especially with these high point guys, being able to calculate that, because if you're a higher point, you can carry 2 lesser points. So at the beginning of the game, that's going to make the Joker and Deadshot a lot better.
I was doing that round 1. I was carrying people, and everybody I played was like, "Wait, what's Underworld do?" And I mean, it was every time. It wasn't game changing necessarily, but it definitely helped.
That's a good team ability, man.
I noobed out real hard. I kept forgetting to bring my objects because I'm so used to when I play, because I rarely use that Killer Croc.
Yeah.
And I forgot that he had super strength. So every game I was really forgetting to place a heavy object down for him at least.
Yeah, I've played every Croc. Croc's one of my favorite Batman villains. I've played every Croc a lot. He's probably my least favorite in the how good he is department. He's fun.
Slow.
Yeah, that's his problem. Because that's exactly what it is he's so damn slow.
Because Batman Enemy means his attack can be crazy.
Right. I still have yet to play the expensive-ass No Man's Land one, though. I need to still... he's so hard to fit. He costs 200 points by himself.
I think 100. He's 100.
190 or
92
something.
or some stupid point.
I want to say 196.
He's cool. His values are cool. His powers are cool.
He looks fun, but I don't think he's good enough to... Oh, he's 173. Still, though. Yeah, I still need to play him. But I like the Arkham Origins one.
Arkham Origins one's very cool.
I played him against Phil in a casual game. He was pretty good. But the Streets of Gotham one is really, really good.
The board game one,
not Streets of Gotham. Gotham City strategy game.
You let me borrow him once, and there were a couple turns where Claw Bite was working like crazy.
Not only does he bring the damage, that trait is so damn good. Opposing characters within 4 can't use willpower, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Especially because he has 7 clicks, so it's not like he's easy to take down. And then, especially if they do go after him, he gets Flurry Blades for 3 or 4 clicks there.
I want to say it was against one of Austin's brothers. I mean, it's been forever since I did it, but I played him, and he got me onto that 4th click where you got the Claw Bite and that Blades, and all of my attacks were, 6s. And so I just wrecked 2 guys that were in base with me, and it was... Yeah, it was a bad first experience with one of Austin's brothers. It was the first time I met the guy. So he was very angry.
What are your feelings on Joker? Because I played him 2 weeks ago, and I talked about him on the podcast. I thought he was a little overcosted.
Yeah, because I never got to use Joker gas because I was forced to basically push him in almost every situation because I was trying to get outwits so my Deadshot could get some better shots and which was fine because it ended up being the best play and everything, and then he gets on those shooting clicks and everything, and then eventually those melee clicks. But I was really disappointed that I didn't get to do Joker gas because that was kind of my intent when building the team was I'm going to have Smoke Cloud from Scarecrow,
right,
and then I was going to have Joker's smoke going out, and
yeah. I took a 500-point team. This is a few weeks ago. Dugout specifically to try to activate Joker gas as much as possible, just because I was like, this is what makes him unique from the other Jokers.
That and his trait that if he kills somebody, his poison's penetrating.
And I still used it one time.
Yeah,
like as far as the penetrating, and that was with hammers. I was like, oh, I'll give him Grathos. He'll see everybody would have Power Cosmic after I dropped hammers. I'll give him Grathos. It'll be easy for him to land hits. Because he has stealth.
Yeah.
I'll sit him in hindering. He'll be stealth. He has 6 range. He'll finish somebody off. And then I'll just poison. No, it just didn't happen. Yeah. It's just he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have way through dampener on top click. You have to push him on to outwit. And then even then he only has 10 attack. And it's just, that's not bad, but for 140 points, I would rather him be about 110 at the most.
Well, yeah, and then to make it worse, I couldn't even support him back onto, because eventually I would always get him onto that penetrating 3 damage and end up KOing somebody.
But then you lose Joker gas.
Yeah, that goon can't support him because he's that 18 defense.
Right. Well, he has defend, though. You could have defended.
I was told it didn't work that way. I was told to use his base defense.
No. It works that way, buddy. You can't modify. This defend is replacing.
Okay.
Somebody lied to you.
A few people did, but that's fine. I didn't need it.
They probably honestly didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, defend is a replacement, so you can replace it. That's why on the best medics...
That's definitely what I thought.
So you see him and Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
That's why they have that, is to make it easier to heal. But anyway...
Yeah, Scarecrow was like star of the show. I mean, Nick was sweating bullets because he got it down to Deadshot on like his last 2 clicks and Scarecrow with Thor and Winter Soldier, and I just kept like incapping. I had 3 turns. I mean, I pushed, but like I just double incapped, cleared, double incapped. Like just I didn't care. I was like, I need to keep you locked down.
I've played Deadshot 4 or 5 times now, and I may not have lost a game with Deadshot now that I think about it.
He's the best Fig in that set.
Oh, there's no doubt. And we called it on the podcast whenever that came out. I was like, everybody was excited about Black Mask, and they spoiled him and Deadshot on the same day. And I was like, dude, there's no Black Mask.
There's not a Fig in that set I'm disappointed with. Like, I mean, like that stroke, he's a little pricey.
I don't like Barbara Gordon.
Okay, sorry. There's not a bad guy Fig in that set I'm disappointed in.
Anarchy.
I don't know. He's not bad for his point.
His range sucks for what he does, though, man. He only has 4 range for energy explosion. 4 range, 1 bolt for a piece that's built around energy explosion.
But he's cool.
He's cool.
Look at that Fig. But yeah, so I mean, Deadshot is. I mean, he's stupid.
Him and Shiva are the best pieces.
He doesn't miss.
Him, Shiva, and Bane are the best pieces out of
this. Because of the free prob, I mean, you're not going to miss. Like, even when you're shooting at 19 defenses, like, you need a 7, so you're going to be hitting people for 5 damage. You're going to have Outwitters with him, so he doesn't need Pen Blast.
Alright, so let's move into the news section today, where we will go over the least important things. As always, go from ones we care the least about to the ones we are most excited to talk about. So let's start with Yu-Gi-Oh! With Mechanical Chaser. Now, did you play much Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day, or you have any...
Like the cards?
Yeah, card game.
Very, very little. I watched the cartoon, like anybody my
like
age,
we all did, yeah. Me and Austin and his brothers, we played it a whole lot, actually. And looking back on all the kids card games like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Digimon of our generation, the big ones, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was actually pretty solid. As a card game, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, I've looked back at it and...
Like, the system and everything, I like it a lot. The other ones do not hold up at all, but Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like I could go back and play with the old cards and have fun and still be somewhat competitive wise. And I hear these days it's ramped up, out of control. But I feel like back when we played, it was solidly balanced.
It's got the Pokemon syndrome, what I understand now, where
there's just too many good things.
Yeah.
Mechanical Chaser was a good card because he was a 4-drop and he had 1900 attack. I remember because I played him a lot, or maybe it was 1700. I'll pull him up here. Which in Yu-Gi-Oh! Terms, if you guys don't know shit about Yu-Gi-Oh!, that's really good. Because a 4-drop or less you could play without having to tribute or whatever.
Yeah.
You could just straight put him on the board and he could just blast somebody, and that attack is really good. Attack value is really good for his 1850. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
For a instant drop, that was as good as it got back in the day. Maybe these days it's better. But 1850 attack was really good, and this guy's pretty similar. Like he only costs 92 points, not bad for what he brings. He's got flight and he has charge and flurry with an 11 attack. That's kind of to me, represents the same style as the card.
And in set, 17 defense invuln is pretty good. Like, in the Yu-Gi-Oh set.
I think this dial all around is solid for Yu-Gi-Oh! As far as competitive Silver Age, very few of these Yu-Gi-Oh! Pieces hold up, but for Yu-Gi-Oh! Only, this is one of the better ones I've seen.
I wouldn't hesitate using him in sealed.
Yeah, actually, I'm excited to do some Yu-Gi-Oh! Sealed if WizKids ever release the damn set. Hopefully, supposedly next week. Supposedly. This is only the, fifth time that has been delayed?
For it, yeah.
We'll see. Speaking of delays, Days of Future Past has been delayed.
It's good we can count on them for something.
I think this was a good move by them because we talked about last week on the show. It was going to come out
before the movie, right?
This and it has nothing to do with the movie.
But it's still going to get attention because of that, though.
No,
I think
that may be why they did it. But we talked about last week. I know you weren't here, but we talked about last week that they had Days of Future Past and Yu-Gi-Oh! Coming out on the same day.
Yeah,
and Yu-Gi-Oh! Already in our minds and a lot of Clixers' minds is like losing steam. We're not excited for it anymore. You've already delayed it a million times, and you say we can't use spells and traps in competitive Silver Age, at least for now. And it's like it kept, like Austin's been saying, like he initially was going to order a case, then it was like, it's been delayed. I'm not excited. There's other stuff coming out. Days of Future Past coming out. I'm only going to get a brick. And then they talk about spells and traps, and he's like, I don't know if I'm going to get any. Like I feel like everybody I talk to doesn't care about Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore, especially with it coming out on the same day as Days of Future Past. So if they wouldn't have pushed this, Yu-Gi-Oh! Would have sold shit. And it probably still isn't going to sell that well.
I have no idea how much GP's planning on getting in. Like, Nick will probably get...
I know we're getting...
People don't special order it.
We're getting a lot at Dugout because we're getting OP kits. Because Dugout's a huge Yu-Gi-Oh! store.
Yeah.
Card games.
It makes sense for that. Yeah.
So I think he'll be able to move it. But yeah, most stores, I don't know.
That might expand the Heroclix crap a little bit there.
That's what I think WizKids is hoping, and that's what I think will probably happen at Dugout. At least a couple players, hopefully. But Days of Future Past has been delayed until April 23rd. Both the main CTD set and the Days of Future Past Sentinel pack.
May
it was supposed to come out April 23rd, which is Wednesday. Now it will be May 21st, so it's delayed a full 4 weeks, which
I'm okay with.
Is a good move by them. We just had one Deadpool spoiler this week, which we've been getting Deadpool spoilers really like crazy. Spoiler, yeah. So it's Colleen Wing and Misty Knight. We kind of knew this was coming. We've seen pictures of the sculpts before, so we knew they existed. We just hadn't seen the cards. And their point values add up to 170 or 140, which is the price of the Spider-Man duo. So it's perfect split and merge, which is how we kind of expected them to do it. Colleen Wing she's the cheaper one. She's 55, Misty's 85, and Colleen Wing for her points is really good. She has
top dial.
Yeah, well, the whole dial. I mean, honestly, for 55 points,
true.
There's not a bad click on this dial. She's got no range, and no team abilities, just normal combat symbols. But she's got Flurry, Precision Strike, and Willpower with an 11 attack and 3 damage. That right there is that's 55 points worth in my mind. Not in super competitive, but in like a weekly game, like this fig holds up extremely well because it always has either Flurry or Charge. And then if you look at the attack slot, she always has either Precision Strike or Blades.
And 10 up until the very last.
Yeah. And then defense, she always has Willpower or Reflexes. She's great.
So her defense never drops below 17 against melee attacks, at least.
Yep.
Her attacks never below 10 until that last dial.
For 55 points, I like it a lot. Heroes for Hire, Martial Artist, The Hand are her keywords. And then Misty has Defenders, Detective, Heroes for Hire, Police. She's 85 points. Normal symbols, sadly no police team ability. 6 range, 1 bolt. She has Running Shot for 3 clicks and then Sidestep for 3 clicks. And top dial and bottom dial, she gets Close Combat Expert in her attack slot. And then the damage slot, she gets a Special Leadership. When she does it and succeeds, friendly characters that share a keyword with her and began that action adjacent to her can use Sidestep this turn, which is pretty nice. She doesn't need... Oh, she does have to succeed. So it's like, if she hits it, then they get to use
And that means people
Sidestep.
who began the leadership next to her, right?
Friendly characters that share a keyword with her and began that action adjacent to her.
Or does that literally mean if they just begin their action? because that's a little weird on the wording.
And began that action. I assume it means the leadership action, the free action to activate leadership. I just don't know why they would feel the need to. I guess to.
That's how I figured it worked, but the wording is very.
Okay, here's probably why. If it just said when she does and succeeds, friendly characters that share a keyword with her adjacent to her can use sidestep.
And she can move up next
then
to people.
they could move next to her, shoot, and then sidestep. Yeah. So it's saying when you leadership, then those people could get it. She's solid. She's not.
Her numbers fall a little harder.
Yeah, her dial is. I was gonna say it's badly constructed. It's not really. She has running shot and CCE, so she has 2 options there. Top dial. Then the next 2 she has running shot, in cap, then sidestep, precision strike, outwit. It's decent. It's just not as good as Colleen's for the points. Colleen's is really good for the points, I think. And then of course the split and merge into the duo. So nice to have them. We also have Blob from Days of Future Past, who just got spoiled just a few hours ago. As the same, just like GSX Blob, he can't be placed by TK, carried, or knocked back. Now he plays quite differently than Blob and Bertha. He has plasticity full dial and a special damage power full dial that kind of plays into plasticity. If an opposing character moves due to its own action, which means they really didn't have to put that in there, but it's just to clear up the confusion between TKing people in certain places. But with him, knockback. But with him, he can't be TK'd or knocked back, so honestly, they didn't have to put that in there. But I think it seems like they're trying to make things more wordy just so that people can't argue silly rules things. If an opposing character moves due to its own action and ends within 2 squares in line of fire, after actions resolve, you may place that character adjacent to Blob and the square in which it ended its move. So basically, you just move it over 1 square closer to Blob. That's basically all you do.
Now, I know the big reason they included the line of fire was probably so you can't pull somebody around blocking terrain if they end within that too.
Right.
But it bugs me that the field behind the power is supposed to be his gravitational pull.
Yeah.
And stealth gets around it.
Yeah, that's true. It does say in line of fire.
I'm Batman. I'm hiding behind this tree. It's cool. Your gravity doesn't work.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, it doesn't specify that you're drawing it to a character and not the square, but I think you would assume it is the character unless it's specified square. I think you would just default that it's a character. So yeah, I think stealth would get away from it. That does suck. Other than that, he has impervious 3 clicks, toughness 3 clicks, and quake kind of mixed in and out on his dial. He does have Indom. Did the other one have Indom? I don't think he did.
No, GSX one didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think he did.
And 18 top dial.
Yeah, 18 defense impervious.
Good for that point value.
I like him. I don't like him as much as GSX Blob, though.
He's not as cool to mastermind onto with Mystique.
Yeah, it's just the other one, in Bertha, too. Bertha is better than this Blob, too. This guy's not bad. And he does bring something different. So I guess I'm glad they did do something different, not just another, here's your new Blob that's exactly the same as GSX Blob. I just feel like, though, that power is going to be pretty easy to work around for people. As long as they know what he does. I mean, if people don't know what he does, then they'll probably get caught by it all the time. But he's pretty solid for the points. And like you said earlier, his point value is good for Brotherhood teams. It kind of matches up well with some other point value figures with that keyword.
Yeah, I forget the others' exact point total, but I think they fit in. They might fit in 300. All 4 of them.
All right, so big news today is the Lantern Cores. The Sinestro Lantern Cores has been spoiled. Now, we already covered the entirety of how the power battery works and everything, so we're not going to go over that again. As I theorized, it is a switch clicks as far as the lantern part coming off of the resource, and then you can pop on a different color lantern.
Which I'm beyond thankful for.
Yeah. And like I was telling the boys, all they changed on the card is just the trait where you get a bonus if they're all the same color. So for the green, what was it? What was the willpower one? I can't remember. For fear, it's if the power battery, attached ring, and all constructs are the same color. Opposing characters modify their attack values -2 when targeting a friendly core member with a higher point value, which is really good.
Especially on Sinestro Core, where you typically have like a Sinestro and Archilo and Mongol who are huge points.
You'll notice, yeah, that's a good point too. And the other point I want to make, you'll notice on pretty much all of the Sinestro Core figures when we talk about them, they all have a perplex that is only on negatives too. So you're looking at, if you play a full Sinestro Core with the power battery and thing, you're looking at a -3 attack value pretty much.
Whenever they want you to.
Whenever they want you to have it, which is going to be huge. And I remember the Green Lantern one being good too. So you're going to...
I know it gives bonuses to all... That's the rings, right? Give bonuses to all your stats.
Yeah, and we'll do the ring next. So what Austin was theorizing, and what a lot of people have theorized, including myself, is like, you're going to take a certain color battery and a certain ring and certain constructs, like mix and match the best ones and put them together, and it'll be stupid good. But the thing is also, when you do that, you're probably going to have better options. We don't know. We haven't seen all the constructs. But we got to assume, of course, some of them are going to be better than others. Yeah, you can do that, but then you lose the trait, and these traits, if just going off the green one and the yellow one, are really good. Yeah, like you really want to match things up as much as you can, so maybe they thought about that ahead of time.
And you're going to be, nowadays you're looking at wanting to play theme teams more anyways, so, there's no reason not to play the Lanterns full color.
Plus, it's more fun, it's thematic. Yeah. Come on, get with the program here. So, Sinestro Core ring. Now, this ring is 4 points, whereas the Green Lantern one was 8 points. 5 to 6 to pick up. And if this character already has a Sinestro Core keyword, modify all its values except damage +1, same as the Green Lantern one. Otherwise, this character has the keyword and can use Perplex, but only to decrease combat values. So that's why this one is cheaper, because the 8-point one gave you willpower, and this one gives Perplex. But the 4-point difference makes up for that. So I like it. I like
that it turns you into a generic Sinestro Core member.
Yeah, I like the ring, and I like the power battery. Both of them are pretty thematic for Sinestro Core. And then they spoiled 6 Sinestro Core members. They didn't spoil Archilo or Lissa, which I was really hoping to see Lissa, because I like Lissa. But we'll go through all of these Sinestro Core members. So let's start off with Sinestro himself.
This is Sinestro from the starter, right?
This is 101, so he'll be from the scenario pack, or whatever they're calling it. He'll be with the Hal Jordan, and there will be some... I think that's where you get your green ring, is in this pack, I believe.
Green ring and the wall construct.
And, one or two of the constructs is in there.
And a cool OA map, apparently.
Oh. He has New Guardians, Ruler, and Sinestro Core. He has a trait, Fearmaster. He can use Perplex, but only to decrease combat values. When he does, he modifies all values on the target by -1, or by -2 if the target has 2 action tokens.
So good.
Which is redonkulous, especially if you remember the construct thing we just said, where if you play all yellows, they're already -2. He's got 2 options, 250 or 160. I think I like the 250 one better for its point value, just because it has top dial move and attack, and it has good powers and good numbers.
12 attack pulse wave.
Yeah, 12 attack pulse wave, 8 range.
18 defense invincible.
4 damage outwit. He's got Indom too.
This is how Sinestro should be.
If you start with 160, he plays totally different though. He has a special white box. He can use Sidestep, give him a power action, and place him adjacent to an opposing character with 2 tokens. And then he has a damage value. When Sinestro attacks a character that has a combat value reduced below its printed value, so after he uses his Perplex on it, he deals penetrating damage. So, I don't know. For 160 points, I don't like I have to spend an action to get next to you.
He does have an 8 range, though.
Yeah. I think if you run them, you work your team, you make sure that you get the full 250 because it's so much better.
I think the big reason they gave him the 160 option is so you could play him lower.
because the rest of his dial after 160, the rest of his dial after the top 2 clicks is mainly melee based. He does pick up some outwit here and there, and he gets blades or flurry here and there. So he's pretty solid for his points. A nice new addition.
I like the sculpt a lot too.
Yeah, it is cool. It's similar to the trait is similar to the War of Light or the DC 75th one, but slightly different, slightly better. Honestly, I really like this recruit too. When we had a Green Lantern recruit,
So cool.
hopefully we'll get a recruit for each core member. Sinestro Core is also 50 points, like the green. He also has flight and 5 range, and he has a trait as well. He's also a minion. When he's within 8 of a Sinestro Core keyword, 75 points or more, he gets +1 damage. He has Running Shot and Pulse Wave top dial, which is not bad for 50 points. And he also has Special Power Fear. Can use Perplex only to decrease combat values. So nothing super special, but he's going to be one of those pieces you're going to look for in sealed just from being 50 points, because this set's probably going to be very high. This is going to be Fear itself, worse than Fear itself.
I'm excited to see a minion for like every core, but at the same time it hurts me because I collect minions because I like running goon teams.
Oh, I'm going to need at least 3
yeah.
each of each color, yeah.
It's going to wreck my wallet hard.
Pretty solid sealed wise, and it's nice to have cheaper point options.
Yeah. Just the, he's with that Perplex, he's effectively a 10 attack with that Pulse Wave at 3 damage because of his minion trait. So, that's...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Really cool.
With the minion, if you can kick in the minion...
And his range is pretty small, so he can safely Running Shot Pulse Wave.
Mm-hmm. So you've got to keep him top click, though, because the rest of his dial sucks hard. He does keep Pulse Wave for a second click, but you've got to keep that dude.
3, 4, and 5 are pretty...
Now, I think this is the best one. I think he's better than Sinestro. I think he's better than all the other ones for his points.
He's really good.
And he's also really cool in the comics, so I'm glad he's good. Vidovian, who's the best sniper in the comics universe, screw Deadshot and screw Deathstroke, as much as I love him. This guy shoots freaking snipes from millions of light years away. If you've read Green Lantern, Jeff Johns' Green Lantern.
Yep.
Vidovian has armor and Sinestro Core keywords. He has 115 point value, 10 range sharpshooter. That's the key with this guy. And not only is he 10 range sharpshooter, but if it's not your turn and no other characters are within 2 of him, lines of fire to him are blocked. And that stealth busting's not going to help with that. Nothing's going to help with that. Lines of fire to him are blocked. The only thing that's going to help is Pulse Wave. Now on top of that, ridiculous range and sharpshooter and ridiculous defensive power, he has 11 precision strike and 3 damage RCE. So he can blast the ever-loving crap out of you from forever away, and you can't retaliate.
It's that Deadshot syndrome. So, at an 11 attack, you don't really need to be able to lower their defense.
Yeah, in most situations, you don't need to go. So the RCE
is going straight to damage.
And then in the off chance, even if you do want to ping somebody who has impervious or something, you're bumping up to a 13 attack and getting a solid at least 1 damage through with precision strike.
And then if power late dial.
Yeah, and then he also picks up the fear, can use Perplex, but only to decrease combat values.
That's in range Perplex.
So for 3 clicks, he has the special You Can't See Me power, and then for the next 3 clicks, he has regular stealth, and then the Perplex and everything. I love this guy.
And he's at least a 10 attack up till his last 2 clicks. So.
And he's only an uncommon. This is one of the key guys to watch out for in sealed, I think. At uncommon rarity for a dial that good, he's going to be good.
Here's another one to watch out for in sealed.
Mongol's good too, yeah. He's an uncommon. A piece that a lot of people have been hoping that would get remade. He's a popular villain in the DC universe. He has Brute Ruler Sinestro Core, 165 points. Solid beater type piece.
Super wordy.
He does, I was going to say. He does have a special trait that you kind of play around. When a character with a Black Mercy token would have 1 or more actions removed. So not just when they would clear it end of turn, but also if somebody would leadership off of them. Remove the Black Mercy token instead. Give Mongol a free action and make a close or range combat attack targeting an opposing character with a Black Mercy token regardless of range or line of fire. if he hasn't already attacked that character this turn. So you're going to say, well, how do I get the Black Mercy token on him in the first place? Well, he doesn't have this top dial. He has it from clicks 2 through 5. He can use Incapacitate. When he does, hit characters are also given a Black Mercy token if they don't have one already. When I first read that trait, especially the second part, give him a free action to make an attack against them regardless of range of fire. I was like, oh shit, that's really stupid. But then I thought about how this would play out. You can only give it to them by using Incap.
Yep.
So on my turn, I hit your Hal Jordan and I give him a token. I give him an action token and I give him a Black Mercy token.
Yeah.
It's your turn. You can either choose to push or you can clear, in which case you clear the Black Mercy token. So the only way, if you clear and clear the Black Mercy token instead, I don't get a free attack against you now. You know what I mean? Because by the time it goes to my turn again and I can kick that in, you just got rid of it. So yeah, it keeps the Incap token on you. I think that's what's most important, is that it keeps the action tokens on them. That's what's more important more than the free attack. Because I think 90% of the time, you're not going to get the free attack. They're going to have already cleared the token off by the time it kicks back to you.
The only time you're ever going to be getting free attacks is if they're pushing and allowing you to get tokens out on other people.
So what it does, though, is it really makes... Because think about this, though. If you do decide to push, now not only do you have 2 tokens, but you have the Black Mercy token on. I get a free hit, and now next turn you clear it, but you still keep your 2 action tokens. Yeah. And I don't get to hit you, but I just tied you up for 2 turns. That's what makes him really, really good. Sadly, he doesn't have that top dial. If he did, I would like him a whole lot more. I still like him pretty well for his points. And like you said, for sealed, he'll be good because he's only an uncommon. But he has the fear power as well, except he has a little bit more special. He can use Perplex only to decrease values. When he does, also modify the target's attack value by -1 until your next turn. So if you want to, you can make their attack a -2.
-3 if you're running the battery.
So he's pretty close. Yeah, he's all close combat based.
That's how he should be.
He does have 7 range if you need the range option, but yeah, that's how he should be. He's just a straight
even
beater.
In the comics, when he got the ring, he wasn't doing the typical lantern thing. He was walking up and smashing people.
He has, what are these in his hands?
I don't know what they are.
They're like
I think they're supposed to be like energy lightning.
I think they're
or something.
Futuristic billy clubs.
Yeah. He saw Nightwing whooping on somebody and decided he wanted some clubs to go with it.
All right, we got 2 more to go. Carousel. Now, I'm not familiar with this chick. Have you ever read anything with this chick?
I've seen her in comics because the Beasts I recognize, but I don't get who she is.
Well, I know she was in Jeff Johns' not New 52, but pre-New 52 Green Lantern for just a second. I remember seeing her, but I don't remember actually learning anything about her. I don't even know if it even said her name.
Yeah, because I remember the construct things running people down.
So she's 95 points. She's a peanut base, and she comes with those construct things attached to her. That's just called the 3... well, I don't know. I guess you call it the pack. Yeah. She begins it with it attached. She can use super senses when it is attached, and when she is killed, you automatically remove the pack from the map. But when the pack is killed, you get to for free put it back on her, which is nice compared to how a lot of those things play out.
Action to pop them off, right?
Yeah, and then at any time her other trait is give her power action, pop off the pack in an adjacent square, and they're a bystander. Now the bystander's not all that great. It has sidestep and flight with an 8 movement, 10 attack, and it has a special attack power. It can use blades, give the pack a close combat action, and make up to 3 close combat attacks as free actions. It only has 1 damage. If you use blades, you only have 1 damage, so you're most likely going to want to use blades. If you use blades during this action, decrease the d6 roll by 2, minimum of 1. So you may as well roll the blades, hope that you get super lucky and roll a 6 or a 5, because otherwise you're only dealing 1 or 2, damage out. But for that coupled with the rest of her dial makes her a pretty solid piece. She has no move and attack top dial though. 6 range, sidestep, Another fear.
Hers is cool.
Yeah, hers is really good, though. Perplex, but only to decrease combat values. When she does, also modify the target's speed value -3, which is nice.
That slows so much down.
Which helps her make up for her lack of move and attack. She has Energy Shield for the first 3, Reflexes for the next 3, and she does have 2 clicks of Steel Energy mixed in on her 6-click dial. And Exploit Weakness, too. So, we'll see how she plays in an actual game. She's okay. I'm a little more excited for the other ones, but at least she's not a horrible piece.
Her points aren't bad for her.
Yeah, only 95 points. And in this set, everything's going to be super expensive. Speaking of super expensive,
yeah,
our last one is Kyle Parallax, which has a really cool sculpt. His outfit looks pretty sweet.
Yeah,
he's a super rare, number 55, 235 points. He has Quintessence, and a really cool trait. What are you truly afraid of? If an opponent wins the roll to determine first player and does not choose Parallax's controller to be the first player, characters on the opponent's force modify their attack value -1 as long as Parallax is on the map. It's the same as Nightmare, I think. Let me see if it's exactly like Nightmares from Spider-Man or if it's similar but does a different effect. Because it's been a long time since I played against a Nightmare. Yep, exact same. Just with Parallax's name in there. So he has the Nightmare trait. He has a pretty solid dial.
Which, again, to harp on it, if you're running him with the battery, that means if they don't let you go first, they're going to be -3 to attack.
Yeah, if you're playing, yeah,
because
exactly.
he's 235 points.
So him and then the battery, if everything matches
that's
up,
a good 300-point team.
That's just
him and the battery.
Yeah, go ahead, attack me with your -3 attack. I freaking dare you. And then I have a special fear on top of that. I can use Perplex only to decrease combat values. When I do, decrease the same value on all other opposing characters within his range and line of fire, which is 8. So even if they're running Book, you can make their combat value, you can make their attack -4 on all of them.
Well, rule 3, right? So you can't go.
Rule 3 only kicks in when you go to attack. This is something I wanted to bring up on the podcast, so I'm glad you asked. So I can technically, I can run 12 hookers, as Austin calls them, con artists, and I can perplex my Thor's attack to 25. But when I go to make an attack, it locks in at 3. Okay. But what that helps is, if I really don't want you to hit me, I can put all my perplexes into putting your defense down -5, and even if you have a hammer, that puts you at -3, and you'll stay at -3 whenever you go to make the attack. Whereas if I would only perplex you -3, and then you put your perplexes into attack, you can balance it back out.
Okay.
You can go over the limit to help make sure that they don't do
when
it.
suffering the penalty or getting the bonus, it's capped. Okay.
Right. So yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
even against Book, you're not hitting this dude.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
your
care.
whole team is -4 to attack.
You have to, if you wanted to do that, you would have to put 2 hammers to even out your attack to be where it's supposed to be. You'd have to have 2 hammers on. So he's pretty good. He's expensive, but he's pretty good. And not to mention the damage he can dish out. Running shot, Psychic Blast with 11 attack and 5 damage from, like I said, 8 range, 2 bolts. He has that for 2 clicks. Then he has the special movement power of Charge and Plasticity with Pulse Wave and Exploit. And then you'll notice he has, on click 5 and click 9, he has an 18 defense with Regen and Shape Change. And then he has Earthbound and a 7 attack. So basically he kind of goes into a little slumber type deal, and you like it's basically when Kyle...
kids, not giving him actual stop clicks.
Right. It's because he's already good. It's basically when Kyle's trying to fight and get out of Parallax. Then he goes into some Poison and some Flurry late dial. So I really like his dial for 235.
That's pretty cool. For like when we do our Highlander events, his real names are actually
Kyle, Rayner, and Parallax. Yeah, cool. And it's nice to get more Quintessence too. They don't give out Quintessence enough to people.
Yeah, Cosmic's handed out like candy in Marvel sets, and you never get to see that in DC stuff.
So awesome to see our Sinestro guys. Hopefully they spoil
Alyssa and Arquillo too.
Yeah, the last arc. I honestly wouldn't even have been upset if they didn't put Arquillo in, just because the last one is so good. That Arquillo is so good, and then we also have the
actual
entity. What is their entity called?
Parallax is their entity, isn't it?
Yeah, derp. It is Parallax.
Yeah, it's Parallax.
Is there anybody else on there?
Superboy Prime.
And then this chick who I'm not familiar with. Lissa, and
Lissa,
then this chick.
And then right behind that chick.
Oh, and then the red guy, too, who looks like Tomar.
Yeah. It probably is Tomar, because it'd be weird if they didn't give us one.
Yeah. I bet there's a green Tomar, though. I'll have to let's look at the green and see which green ones we didn't get.
A lot.
Holy crap-oly. There's no way there's not a new Tomar on here. There's a new Salic, who's all... Yeah. I love Salic.
Tomar.
Yeah, there is a new Tomar. He's a Prime, too.
And we got an Abin over there.
There's a lot of Green Lanterns they haven't spoiled yet, so... Is that another Salic?
Yeah.
Doesn't that... No, that's not Salic.
Yeah, that's not Salic.
That's somebody else. What is his name? It sure looks like Salic on the... Salark, maybe? I'm not familiar with him if it's not. He doesn't have 4 arms, so it can't be Salic.
I'm excited for the big head guy. I can never remember his name, but the ball.
Yeah. Zilius, I'm more excited for the red. I'm a big Red Lantern fan of that. That's one of the better New 52 books.
Yeah, I'm hoping they give us a Red Lantern guy Gardner.
Oh, there's no way they won't. They'll have a riot on their hands if they don't.
I don't think Wisdom's cares about getting riots.
We saw the list of figures and he was on there.
Is he okay?
Yeah. So pretty happy with these. Hopefully next week will be the Reds because I'm really anticipating how they'll be. And then last thing we have to talk about.
Best news ever.
Is how they are packaging the lanterns, and I brought this up a little earlier in my pre-recorded part. So, they've announced exactly how you'll be able to get the other lanterns.
Everything but white and black.
Everything but white. Well, black comes with Necron, because he's holding it. And, so technically, if you think about it, that means that is con-exclusive.
Yeah.
Because you only get Necron as con-exclusive. Rumor also is that the white one will be con-exclusive. But no official word from WizKids on that yet. But since it hasn't been released in any of these other ones, I think that's the only safe assumption, is that that's how it will be. So the rest of them, though, will be packaged. And in each pack, there are 3 different packages. There's 2 different lights paired up, or lanterns paired up in each one. And they did a nice job of packaging the 3 most popular ones, which is red, orange, and yellow, with the 3 least popular ones, with the violet and indigo and blue. And
they went opposing.
Yeah, exactly. They went with the, what's it called, complementary color, where you go the opposite on the color wheel.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember my art class days. I think it's called complementary. But anyways, yeah, in each pack you get 1 of each color lantern. So you got red and violet, if you're talking about that pack. You would get 1 of each construct power battery, and then you would get 7 constructs for each. And again, it says resource object. So I don't think it'll be its own resource. Like I said, I think it'll be a switch clicks.
Yeah.
So you'll get the actual little lantern. And that will cost you $25. Which, I guess they could have went higher on that. So, then you've got...
Yeah, they could have charged.
Yeah, people would have paid $40. Sadly.
I was expecting them to be, when we thought it was going to be like, you'd pick a faction at the start. So I was expecting to shell out, $60, $70 on eBay just to make sure I got them all. Yeah, so for $75, you would get these 6. 6 resources.
And then you're going to get, I think the other pack is also $25 at least.
In your eye, Bat Belt.
With Green Lantern, Sinestro, and the Green Ring.
And the 1 object.
Yeah, so that brings up another point. It doesn't say anything about rings. The rings will not be included in this.
A lot of people are thinking they're going to be in the packs.
Correct. That's what I was going to say. I think, and we theorized that last week when we talked about this, that they would do the rings in the pack, but they wouldn't do the batteries, mainly because they're too big. They wouldn't fit in. There's no way.
Well, they're not doing the constructs too, which is what a lot of people were worried about.
So we thought they would do rings and constructs in the boosters, but instead I'm betting that, and they'll probably announce it pretty soon, is that they'll just do the rings in the boosters.
Which sadly means the rings are going to go for a crap ton.
True. But if there is 1 in each booster, which I doubt there will be, but if there is 1 in each booster, then it won't be that bad to get all of them.
That would be awesome if they didn't actually take a figure slot. They just threw 1 in every booster.
Yeah. Well, heck, they're going to sell like crazy. They can afford to throw a little...
Well, yeah, they're already telling us they're not going to have enough for Wave 2.
Yeah, like make sure you get the shit early because we can't help you out on month 5 and 6. Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
I'm foregoing Deadpool and, like, other than Days of Future Past, I'm, like, going super minimalistic on everything Heroclix until War of Light's over because I know I'm going to have to hit eBay.
I think playing between two different venues, I think I'll be able to. Well, I don't know.
I mean, I'm going to try and play 2 also. I'm going to try and play GP and Dugout. So, I don't know if that's going to help, though. I played 3 venues for half of Fear Itself, and
well, see, I
still missed out on some of that.
I got all my Fear
Somehow.
Itself. I finished it out through trades, but I got all of Fear Itself by just playing at 2 venues for, was that 6 months too? Yeah, it was 6 months.
It took some last minute trades there at the end for me to round out that set somehow, and that was a smaller set.
Yeah. I also have really horrible luck at pulling things too.
Of course, that was also one Fear Itself, one something else.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. We're going to be doing double at Dugout if we can swing it, as long as we don't have a million people.
I think it's designed to be double, right?
Yeah, well, for the last 2, it's like suggested.
Well, yeah, last 2 you're not going to have any.
Yeah, there's enough figures in this too that you're not, like, running double is not going to get people bored. Like, there's 70 some freaking figures in this thing,
not including the OP and
right.
LE.
So it should be fun. And was there something? There was something.
There's a lot of participation prizes in War of Light 2, which is what I think is really cool.
Yeah, so each month you're going to get a construct
and or
a construct, which are the little relics,
and a Green Lantern member,
and then a Lantern member, and yeah, you have to get your ring. So that's something. That's why I wanted to make sure I get that right, because a lot of people have been emailing us asking. So. The ring is only in the scenario pack. You will not get a ring in your OP event.
So definitely order that.
Yeah, you have to get one of those if you want to play your power battery to the full extent. Because you will get the green first month, like on the other ones. You'll get your resource, and your resource will come with the Green Lantern attached. But you will not be able to get the ring while you're playing, which seems counterintuitive.
Month 1 is you get the resource and a construct for participation. And you get, is it John Stewart month 1?
It's one of them. Yeah, I don't remember which one it is.
And it's one of the Earth Lanterns month 1.
And then I think Larfleeze is the...
Larfleeze is the prize.
Is the prize. But so make sure you get one of those packs when they first come out. The Sinestro Hal Jordan pack. Which also has a Sinestro Hal Duo, doesn't it?
Sinestro Hal Duo is in set, I believe.
Oh, okay. Cool.
That might be something you want to check.
Well, we can pull that up while we're...
Because it's the 101 Sinestro and the 101 Hal that they've previewed that are in the pack.
Let's go. Downloads, retailer assets, Warlight, month 1. Or no, we need Sinestro Core War Scenario Pack.
Yeah.
Comes with Green Lantern dice. I forgot about that.
Some not ugly Green Lantern.
So yeah, just a Hal, just a Sinestro.
And the wall.
And then the duo must be in the main set. And then the wall construct and the Green Lantern ring. And that is going to be $20, which is not bad.
So that means, assuming your venue does like a $25-$30 buy-in for 2 packs, you're looking at $50 month 1.
Yes, true.
Which is for 10 figs, the starter set with its 2 figs, and your resource.
Yeah, 12 figs, a resource,
2 constructs altogether,
2 relics, and then a set of Green Lantern dice, which the WizKids dice that they've made have looked pretty. Yeah. They've been pretty good, and these look pretty good too. It looks like they're
very classic Green Lantern.
It looks like the green is engraved in there, so they look pretty good, pretty solid. And that's only $20. The lantern packs, though, they will be $25. And then month 1 is 1 construct, 1 resource, 1 participation prize. It doesn't specify which one. And then 4 LEs. But I think later in one of the things it lists
they spoil the breakdown of every month.
Yeah, it breaks down who gets what. So, yeah.
It's where it said that it's larfleas and stuff like that.
All right, well, that wraps it up. I know it's kind of weird this week because we went in basically the opposite order. I started with community and I ended with news, but, you do what you got to do. Sad the boys couldn't be here with me today. Make sure you send them a message on Facebook or Twitter and tell them to get their shit together and get back on the show. Speaking of Facebook and Twitter, follow us there. That's where we talk to you guys the most. Send us PM anytime you want to talk. And again, like I said earlier in the show, if you would like to do a listener guest host like TJ is today, except he's in person. But even if you live far away and you want to do it over the phone like we do some other people, then send us a PM on Facebook, and I'll be posting that sometime. So we'll do that again in a few weeks, especially for days like today where it's just me or it's just me and Drew or something like that. I like to try to keep 3 people in here just to keep the conversation flowing. But TJ did a great job. Thanks for coming on.
Not a problem. I'm glad you finally got me out here.
Hopefully we can have you on again in the future.